Hi, this is Karen McMullen here, and welcome to this presentation on the projector. I invite you to grab a tea or make whatever you need to make yourself comfortable to just sit back and enjoy as you receive the information I'm about to share with you. All right. Oops. So yeah, this presentation is about your aura type and strategy. If you're a projector, or for those of you that are watching that aren't projectors, for the lovely projectors that you have the honor of knowing in your life. And the slides and presentation that we're going to be watching today are from my teacher, John Martin, who is a projector. So I learned from him about, lots of stories that he shared about being a projector. So when we refer to your aura type, really we're talking about what kind of aura do you have, and this notion that you don't stop here at your flesh. You actually have a presence that extends out around you about 2 arms lengths, give or take, and that presence or your aura actually has different properties according to what type of aura that you have. So according to human design, there are 4 aura types. There is the generator aura, which is open, enveloping, and it's attracting to it what's right for it and responding to life. Generators make up 70% of the planet. So I will be sharing a little bit with you today about generators, simply because as a projector, it's important for you to know and understand how generators work. The projector's aura is absorbing all that's around them, absorbing and then focusing. So it's a very different aura than the generator. And projectors make up about 20% of the population. Manifestors have a dense and repelling aura because they're really designed to make an impact. They're designed to initiate. And they need to be able to sort of move as a free agent in the world and to make an impact. So it doesn't mean that they themselves have a personality that's dense and repelling. It just simply means their aura has those properties. And then finally, we have the reflector, which is, the manifestor makes up 9% of the planet. And then we have the reflector, who are only 1% of the planet, so they're very rare. And they have an aura that is kind of sampling their environment and also reflecting their environment back to itself. So they're here to be a barometer of the health of their environment. All right. So here we have the projector. What makes a projector is that they have an undefined sacral center. So you'll always see, if you're looking at a chart that's a projector chart, that they have this center here with the X over it undefined. So it won't be colored in. Of all the 9 centers, this one for sure won't be colored in on a projector chart. Another thing about a projector is that they don't have any of the 4 motor centers, which are these 4 here. Motors being, the ability to generate action and move. Motor to the throat. They have no motor to the throat connection. I lost my little thingy. Oh, there it is. So here we have the throat. And basically in the body graph, everything's trying to move to the throat. All the energy is attempting to make its way into expression, into manifestation, into action, into word. And so projectors, when they have no motor to the throat connection, it means that they're in a way they need to rely on others to bring their vision or creation into the world. And I'll go more into that. But all of this, really, the core properties of their aura itself is that it's absorbing and is also penetrating and focused. And the strategy for the projector is to wait for the invitation. And as I said, they make up roughly 20% of the population. So this slide really kind of encapsulates the projector. And now I'm going to go more into depth on what I see are really the core characteristics of the projector that I hope that you can walk away with an understanding of and begin to experiment in your day-to-day life with this information and see how it actually applies for you. One thing that I really don't like about human design is the tendency that people have to really go hardcore with it and almost put themselves in the box. It's like, you know, the purpose of this information is to decondition. It's to free yourself from conditioning. And yet what I see often happens with people that embrace human design is they end up conditioning themselves with this information. So I hope not to do that. I hope to impart that this is just some information for you to experiment with and try it and see what your truth is, and not to take it, like take what I'm saying and try it in your life and see if it's actually true for you or not. But don't take my word for it. All right, and don't make this a bunch of rules for you to get it right, or you know, it's not about getting it right or wrong. It's about how can you surrender to life and your true nature, and how can you allow things to be as easeful as possible by honoring yourself. And that just comes in, you know, experimenting, trying things out, and I look forward to hearing how this works for you. All right, so the first thing that I really wanted to share with you is about what does it mean to actually have an undefined sacral center. The sacral center, so this second from the bottom center here, is defined in almost 70% of the planet. So, you know, almost 70% of the planet have this center defined. And really, I mean, if like you think about that on its own, you know, 7 out of 10 people that you know are generators or manifesting generators, and they have this center defined. And when a center is defined, all that means is that they have consistent access to that energy, and that center operates as a consistent aspect of who they are. So it's not that you don't have sacral, you know, like a sacral center. You have a sacral center. It's just that it's not operating consistently as you, and it can be inconsistent. So what is the sacral center? It's this vital energy. It's this life force that generators have to respond to what comes to them. So it's not just energy for anything and everything. It's actually very specific energy for certain things that are correct for that being. And they'll know it because they'll be like, oh, I just have so much energy. I can't stop this. I want to golf all day. Or, oh my gosh, I'm so into this new computer software that I'm learning, and I just can't get enough of it. And they have, you know, energy to respond to what they have energy for. And they don't have energy for what they don't have energy for. The sacral center also relates to sexuality. And so, you know, if you think about our world today, that's really about working and making babies, and then raising the babies and, you know, providing for them by working. So, you know, work and sex and reproduction, that's really what generators are all about. So here we have the generator who has this sacral defined, and their whole life is really about using this energy that they have well. And are they using their energy for, you know, what's truly good for them? And oftentimes they don't necessarily know how to use their energy well, which is, you know, the state of our world. Is, you know, generators who are frustrated, they're doing jobs that they hate, and they feel like they're enslaved, and they're depleting themselves. And when the sacral center and that sacral energy of a generator is used well, they'll be in this energy of regeneration, meaning they feel like, I'm using my energy well. I have, by using their energy, they actually create more energy, just like a battery recharges itself. It's that kind of idea. So the generators ideally are in a frequency of regeneration. So as a projector, this is something you can begin to become aware of as you sense those others around you. Are they in a frequency of regeneration or degeneration? Does this person, taste like they're using their energy well? In a way, you're tasting their energy because your sacral is undefined. It's able to take in the sacral of those who have the sacral defined around you. So it's taking in that defined energy, and you're kind of getting to absorb and get a taste or a sample. You're absorbing that person's frequency, and how does it feel and taste to you, and does it seem like they're using their energy well or not? And you can start to, this makes you a really helpful guide because you can immediately kind of help them fine-tune the use of their energy. I hope that makes sense. It's so funny. Human design has so much jargon. One of the characteristics of the generator aura is that it's open and enveloping. So if you think about it, there's like no barrier in the generator aura. And then we have the projector's aura, which is quite penetrating, and that makes it so that the generator and the projector are really designed to have a rich interaction. Because as a projector, you have this undefined sacral center, really means that when you use your energy, it doesn't necessarily regenerate in the same way that it would for a generator. It's not like you have this like motor that when you use your energy, there's more energy. If you watch generators, they can like be up all night talking and they're just, when they're using your energy well, they have more energy. Whereas for the projector, you could be in the same room and you would be even amplifying that sacral energy. So you would probably be even more excited, but not knowing that actually you're not regenerating yourself. And so you end up feeling very depleted the next day. You might need to spend the next day like just kind of lying around. So the trick with the sacral center is, for most of the world that have that center defined, they know when they've had enough. A generator, will just, when they're tired after they've used their energy, they're just like, oh, I'm like on the couch, like I'm done. No more. I'm going to bed. Like, you can't get a generator to do more when they're exhausted. They're just done, and they know they're done. Whereas those that have the sacral open or undefined, they don't necessarily know when they're done because they don't have that center defined. They're not getting those cues. So a question for you is, do you know when enough is enough? As an undefined or open sacral being, the tendency is not to know when enough is enough, and so to overdo it. This is so common with projectors, is that they're really pushing themselves more than would be true to their nature. They're doing more than would be true to their nature, and they wind up really burnt out or damaging their health because they're overdoing it. And so learning, like the last slide said, you have those energetic boundaries to stop before you get tired, and to, start to, be really aware of like, oh, I think I've had enough of this, and to quit early is helpful for you. Being non-sacral means not being here to work. Now, okay, you are here to work in the way that you're here to make a contribution and that has value and make money for sure. I mean, I know very few, I don't even know if I know any projectors that don't actually work. It's more, you're not here to be a workhorse or a laborer or like a work, gazillion hours a day type, 7 days a week or 5 days a week type person. You are more well suited to being a specialist, giving concentrated, valuable information or energy in a short amount of time. And yeah, that's just simply because of not having that consistent access to an energy source that regenerates itself. So it's really, my friend Wade has said the most brilliant thing about projectors the other day when I was talking to him. He said, often what happens is projectors are just out there and they're giving away, what they see and their valuable perspective. Like, hey, here's $1. Hey, here's $1. Here's some valuable information. Here's some for you. And they're giving away and sharing, not realizing that they really do need to spend more of their time gathering their energy and then only sharing it with the right people when the invitation is there. Like, hey, here's $100, and putting all their energy into the right opportunity rather than being, kind of scattered in the use of their energy. As a projector, you really can't afford to be careless with your energy. That reminds me of, what I observed working with John Martin, my teacher who's a projector, is that, even for him to have a conversation with me as a friend, in a way, was work for him. So he wouldn't, he would maybe do one reading a day and then one other thing, and that would be it. So he's kind of saving his energy for the right opportunities rather than being careless. All right. So with having this center open, what that looks like in a healthy expression is just being relaxed, doing what you love. Observes and studies the mysteries of life. Manages their inconsistent energy through strategy and authority. So what that means is, for you is waiting for the right invitations to use your energy, and also using your inner authority, whether that is, emotional or splenic or G or, whatever it is, using your inner authority to help determine where you are best meant to use your energy. Works more as a specialist for short periods of time and usually ends up guiding others in their work. I know many CEOs who are projectors that are really amazing at delegating and getting, directing others in the use of their energy, and they have the bigger vision. And they know when to remove themselves from sacral energy. The unhealthy expression is that they work to the point of exhaustion and they're overzealous in their work. This is really common for projectors, especially in our world, because, not knowing that you're a projector, you grow up in a world of generators, and you would think that you're supposed to be able to work the same amount that they work, and to, not only work, but wake up in the morning and then go to the gym and then take your kids to school and then work and then come home and still have energy to make dinner and, have sex and, whatever else, go to a party. Like, a generator might be able to do that every day for 5 days, but quite likely that would be unhealthy for many projectors. Not to say that you can't be active as a projector, you certainly can. And I think that that's for you to find your right balance of, how much activity is right for you. And, to be really mindful about how you're using your energy. Becomes a sex addict. Well, I think that's a little maybe dramatic, but there is a tendency, because as a projector, you're amplifying the sacral energy. So you can, even get lost in that amplification. And I imagine that could be really fun too. Is unable to pull away from the juiciness of life force energy. So this can happen where projectors end up kind of latching on to generators in their life, because when the generator's around, they feel like they have lots of energy. And so then they're almost relying on that. And rather than that, the healthy version would be to be okay and comfortable with having a lack of energy. Believes they are ill when they don't have enough energy. So you're not ill. It's perfectly natural and normal for a projector to literally do nothing. And a generator might say, "Oh, I'm doing nothing," and they're actually kind of puttering about, and they just made a batch of cookies, and they're watching a show, and they're learning on online course, and that's their version of doing nothing. Whereas a projector could literally like stare at a wall and just do nothing. All right. So yeah, we just went over what it means to have an undefined sacral. Let's look at the actual properties of the aura, which are that they have, projectors have an absorbing and focused, penetrating aura. And because of that, the strategy for the projector is to wait for the invitation. So what does that mean? Okay, so the projector is really designed for interaction with the generator aura. Again, as I shared, generator's aura is completely open. And, then we have this projector who's focused and penetrating. So there's nothing about the generator that's a barrier to this penetrating aura. And so they together create this deeply intimate interaction that's not personal. It's actually just the way the auras are interacting, and it's how they're meant to interact. The projector's aura goes deep into the other when they're focused on the other. And because of this, they have this incredible gift to lead the other. And the shadow of that is also a potential to disrupt the course of, or the path that the other would take. So, think about a nickname for the projector is like the cosmic surgeon. So imagine, surgeons who they're highly specialized in their work. They're highly revered and honored in our society because, they're really well paid. They've devoted a lot of years to mastering their expertise. All of these are really projector-like qualities, and they're very precise in their work. And they can't really afford to make mistakes in there when they're doing surgery. It has kind of a lot of repercussions when they do. And when surgeons go in, like they're focused, they're doing their surgery, and then they get out as soon as possible. So all of those things are apply as far as the projector goes. You're precise. You're here to, do and share your insight and your vision in as concise and as poignant a manner possible. And, the real key of this is, surgery, when you need and want surgery, is so valuable, and it's so highly paid and appreciated. Surgery, when you didn't ask for surgery and you didn't want surgery, is assault. So it's actually kind of an act of violence. And the same goes for the projector. So because your aura is penetrating, it's not you, it's your aura. So your aura is going right into the other. What you say goes all the way in. So that's why your strategy is to wait for the invitation. Because when what you say is invited, you're doing this incredibly valuable surgery. And when what you see wasn't invited, you're doing the assault version of that when it wasn't invited, and it goes all the way in. So it's, in a way, it's kind of a mastery or bust game for you as a projector, that there's a lot of mastery involved with being a projector and doing your thing. Now, what happens when you share uninvited, actually I'll share that slide next. Oops. Oh, okay, it's not next. What happens when you share uninvited is that you'll meet resistance. So ultimately, waiting for the invitation is to really protect you and to help you, have what you share be fully received and valued. The right invitations for you are going to be really tailored to you, and you'll know it through your inner authority. So whether it's emotional or splenic, you'll get cues from your own body about, this is totally the right invitation for me. And invitations are really for the big things in life, such as, where are you going to live, who you end up having as your lover or your partner, what kind of job you do, your direction in life. So what I love about this, and really why I'm so passionate about sharing human design, is that it's an invitation for you to actually surrender to life, rather than what's so common in our society, thinking, oh, I just need to decide, who I am and what I want in life and go after it. This is actually offering you a different possibility, which is, why not wait and notice what comes to you and see what opportunities come to you and what invitations come to you, and then allow that to inform your direction. And really, it's about letting life in to lead the way. And I found that to be so, to me, satisfying as a generator. And then for you as a projector, that's really the key to success, is letting life reveal to you the invitations that are for you. After you have accepted an invitation, you don't need to continue to be invited. So let's say, for example, you're invited to lead a 5-day event, and you accept, that feels like a great invitation, and you're leading the event. You don't need to continue to be invited the whole time that you're there. You can assume that the people that are at the event have invited you and want to know what you say, so long as you continue to be recognized for who you are. The moment you're kind of dismissed, or there doesn't seem to be an honoring of you, that's kind of your cue. Oh, this invitation is kind of reaching its end date. And invitations they have a shelf life. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. They're not going to go on and on forever. So just being aware of, oh, I think this invitation is coming to a close. It's natural for that to happen. And one of the cues that's happening is you're no longer being recognized. Resources are drying up. So people don't have energy for what they're doing. You're not, there's not as much money available to pay you, that kind of thing. Because a good invitation will have everything that you need within it. It'll include, compensation, and it'll have the support that you need energetically in terms of, generator, sacral workforce power at your, for you to use, and it will also have, likely a financial component to it, and basically it will be like giving you support. Awesome. All right, so moving on to characteristic number 3 of the projector, which is the gift of seeing and also recognition. Recognition is a key to understanding what is a good invitation, and it's also kind of like the currency of the projector is recognition. Projectors take the other in deeply, and that's again that like absorbing aura. So I like the word kind of like consuming or eating. It's like you're eating your environment, and you're eating, the energy of the other, and you get to actually taste them, and you get all this information just absorbing it. And you might get a sense of something that, makes no sense for you to actually know. Personally, I don't know what this is like. I'm not a projector, so I'm curious to hear how this is for you. But it is like taking the other in, and then, this focus on the other. Your entire orientation as a projector is on the other. You're not here to see yourself. So if you're, spending all your time kind of like inward focused on yourself, I wonder about that. I wonder if that's really your nature. And I'm curious, so maybe you can help reflect on this with me, but you're designed to focus on the other. One of projector I was interacting with recently in a Facebook group, she was saying, I'm so stuck, I don't know what I'm here to do, and blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, you're not really here to know what you're here to do. Like, if you had a person, like she was thinking about starting a YouTube channel, and that's a perfect thing for a projector to do, is just to put their, the word out about what they're doing in a broadcast style where the people who are watching it in a way are inviting them, because they can easily just not watch it if they don't want to hear what that person has to say. But if that, girl or woman had another person in front of her, she would be taking that person in and able to focus on them and, ask them questions and have a conversation that would be totally natural to her, to understand the questions to ask and what is this person in front of her, has to bring to the table that's of value. She would be able to know that, and she would be able to bring it out. And so that was one of the pieces of feedback that I gave her, is just to, not wait for her to know what she's here to share, but start having interesting conversations with other people, because she's naturally designed to focus on the other. So, for you to be in a one-on-one interaction with another person is so natural. And to begin to see who is recognizing you and who doesn't recognize you is also powerful, to knowing when to share what you have to say and when to take action and when not. So another projector friend of mine, he was invited to work at this, he's a yoga teacher and a surfer, and he was invited to work at this yoga retreat center in Morocco. And he was like really struggling with making this decision, but in the end, it was obvious that what they were really looking for was someone who was going to be this like workhorse and work many days a week and do a whole bunch of work. And really, his genius is like he's an incredible yoga teacher, super precise. And it wasn't really an acknowledgement of his expertise that, that work offer. They were looking for, a Clydesdale, and he was a stallion. So it wasn't an offer that, or an invitation that was really recognizing him for who he really is. And that is such a valuable cue that something's not right. So, he didn't end up doing it. And, saying no to those invitations where you're not fully recognized and not sharing with people who don't really see you is going to protect you from having painful experiences. All right, if you are asked to share, again, notice, does that person really see you? Do you feel seen? Do you feel recognized by them? And then share and notice the response. Notice, does it seem like what you shared went in? And did it feel like you made like a kind of like a clean incision? If you think of yourself as the surgeon, like, were you able to go in and share the one thing that they really needed to hear and then get out? And I can, share from my personal experience being a generator, it's so beautiful and nourishing to work with a projector who is, precise in what they have to say and who's just giving me what I can handle at the moment and not more. On the flip side, I've also had conversations with projectors where I've invited them to share, but then they just go and they share and it's way too much and way more than I can handle, and it's really hard to receive. So be conscious of that. Like, people will probably only be able to take in a small amount of what you truly could offer to them in one sitting. So just be aware, like share a piece and then kind of pause and then share another piece. Yeah, and then what also happens is when you share without invitation or you share with someone who doesn't really see you, that can be painful because you'll likely be completely dismissed. Like, they'll just sort of ignore what you have to say, and you'll feel unrecognized, which is kind of a big insult for a projector, because you're actually designed to be recognized. Your aura, like, you're drawing to you recognition. You're meant to be recognized. It's natural for you to be recognized. You're designed to stand out without saying anything. So when someone dismisses you and ignores what you have to say, that's kind of an insult to your very being. But really, it was kind of your own responsibility, because you were the one that went ahead and initiated your surgery when you weren't invited. So you'll notice and receive those consequences. part of the gift of the projector is this ability to really see the other and to see who they really are. And to be really seen is such a gift. Like, it's so beautiful. So when a projector focuses on another person and they share what they see, it's like it can be so incredible to be so seen that it can be mistaken as a romantic interaction. And it can feel that way, especially just because of the way that the auras interact, the generator being open and enveloping and the projector being penetrating. But it's not personal. So that's something for you to be aware of as a projector, so that things don't get confusing for you. Another gift of the projector in terms of seeing is this ability to learn systems and understand like a complete framework and how everything works together, and even to just be able to see the world as a whole and all the mechanisms at play. Like, it's so funny, I always know I'm talking to a projector because I'll share, hey, I'm like interested in this human design thing, and oftentimes people have never heard of it, and then I might look up their chart and I say, yeah, there's 4 aura types, and generators don't give a crap about what the aura types are. They only want to hear about themselves. Generators are know thyself. They're all about hearing about themselves. Projectors always ask, once I share about, I'm like, okay, yeah, your type is a projector. They'll say, what are the other 3 types? Because they want to know the whole system. They want to understand everything. They want to understand how it all works together. And I love this point here. The ability to guide someone within a larger framework is great, but takes the awareness of when enough is enough to be successful. And again, this is just what I was sharing earlier about, only sharing what that person can take in the moment and not sharing too much. A couple of my buddies are projectors, and we're collaborating on this project. And she came to me and she's like, yeah, these are the topics that we're thinking about discussing in our group, and these 2 projector friends of mine had gotten together and talked about a bunch of things and come up with all these topics to discuss. And I was like, oh my God, these topics are totally projector topics, because here's 2 people getting together that are seeing the whole big picture of how like the world works and everything that goes together. And as a generator, I could give a crap less about all that stuff. I only want to know about what applies to me in my daily life and how to live well as a a being moving through space. And I was like, yeah, these topics are not going to be of interest to most people, except for projectors. Like projectors, I imagine as a projector, it'd be really satisfying to have a good buddy who's also a projector that you can get together with, that's going to have equal amount of interest in the big picture that you do, and not only the big picture, but all the details and how they all work together. So, but as far as sharing that with most people and generators in specific, only share what they need to hear in that moment, and don't go overboard with it. Yeah, coming back to the truth that what you see is valuable for others. And at the same time, it's their job to call it out or not. If they don't call it out, they probably aren't ready to hear it. And it's not your responsibility to share. And you may need the other, and the energy resources that they bring to move in your life, but you don't need them to love yourself and to sit back and enjoy the movie and to watch how everything is unfolding and to observe what you observe. This is a good practice as a projector, is how can you be concise? So here's a few things I invite you to experiment with. The practice of just being and not initiating. Sinking into your natural gift for seeing and feeling and observing, just enjoying that. Not necessarily having to share it, and not necessarily needing to have other people understand what you understand. Studying and mastering your art. You know, having your default be this place of being and not doing, and in the meantime, just kind of learning and mastering your art. So when the right invitation comes along, you're ready with the expertise that you need. And I heard this great quote from Steve Rhodes, who founded a different kind of section of human design called Band 2. And he said something like, as a projector, it's really helpful to view your life as one big long vacation with intermittent invitations where you get called out to share. So I really liked that. I thought that was nice. And experiment with going to bed before you're tired. So one of the tendencies of the open sacral is not to know, when you're tired. So if you go to bed early, take like an hour of just reading, kind of winding down. That'll help you to be able to sleep well. The projector theme when you're off course is bitterness. This is when you aren't invited and you share or you move forward into moving forward without an invitation into a project or a relationship. You feel unrecognized, like no one sees or appreciates you, and what you have to offer is lost. And this can literally be a taste of bitterness in the mouth. So bitterness is a sign that you were not invited and that you somewhere along the line kind of went off course. So it's kind of like those little bumpers on the side of the road that just let you know when you're slightly off course. Bitterness is that sign. And it's just like, oh, okay, I'm a little off course here. And getting back on course. So it's not a right or wrong thing. It's just something to become aware of and watch for. And really what you're here for is the signature of success. This is relationships that are fulfilling, where you were invited and what you share is really valued, recognized, and appreciated. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you about your experiment. And yeah, I hope you really go out there, try this stuff out. And it wouldn't be, and as John always said, it wouldn't be an experiment if you weren't blowing some stuff up. So feel free to make mistakes and to have bitter experiences and burn yourself out, and then start to come back to, oh, okay, this is what it is to be a projector. Okay, much love.